It's kind of like, people have the idea that meditation is going to like slow me down and make me a slug and
Yeah, yeah.
unproductive. But you see, that's kind of like or that's what it's supposed to do. Or that's how you're supposed to be in life. No, it's what's the middle road here?
Yeah,
What's the middle way?
yeah. How do we navigate the speediness and technology and fast and
It's hard because the dominant message in the culture is speed.
yeah,
It's that speed is good and better. And social media hasn't helped that at all. It's actually just emphatically raised the stakes on that feeling of speed,
mm,
instantaneous gratification, instantaneous documentation of my life. And then
yeah,
I get feedback from the world about it.
mm,
And so I check myself. That's what I do. I'll
mm,
notice at moments I'm speeding up, and then I have to ask myself. I mean, sometimes one has to, right?
yeah,
You have to speed up. You got to catch the bus. You better catch the bus, or you better run
right.
to it, or the subway. You got to get through you know, the the turnstile. You got to get the train. So you have to move fast. But it becomes a kind of intoxication, is what
Mm,
speed is intoxicating.
yeah.
Momentum. It just has its own life after a while. And
Mm,
then it becomes habitual and ingrained, and it becomes an impression. How do I erase the impression? How do I begin dissolving, I should say, the impression?
mm,
Well, you begin to check the impulse. You begin to, first of all, notice the impulse. That in itself is a lot. The impulse to go fast.
mm,
And and particularly in situations when you don't have to.
yeah.
You notice how it's like a little engine. It's always like it's always got its foot on the gas.
Yeah. Revved up.
It's always revved. So what's it like when you take your foot off the gas, even for 20 seconds?
Mm,
What's it like even if you to stop? I mean, literally stop moving for 30
mm,
seconds. I'm going to just sit here. I'm not going to move.
mm,
Even if the mind is racing and saying, you can't spare 30 seconds. You try it. You see what the outcome is. You start to experiment with, okay, how am I managing my time even? Like, do I have to be there in 15 minutes? Do I have to have one appointment right after the next? What if I put in a buffer period?
mm,
There's 1,000 little things that one can do in 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 challenging the narrative about going fast, because
mm.
there's an outward narrative and it also has become an interior narrative. And
Right.
trying to purify ourselves of that interior impression as if that's the ticket. That's the only way to be. No, we can be lots of ways. When we have to go fast, we should be able to go fast. When we don't have to go fast, we ought to be able to go at a more harmonious pace.
Yeah.
And that's training.
So really this waking up, this awareness of when we are in a certain mode, because it infiltrates rest of life. The speediness then becomes just the mode we operate in. And
Yeah, it becomes the consensual reality.
yeah, this is everywhere. And what I'm hearing you share is, well, we can become aware of when do we kind of pull back from that speediness when it's not supportive or skillful, and when do we no, now we need to actually turn it up a little bit.
Exactly.
This instead of always habitual being a certain way habitually. It might be too slow all
Right.
the time, or it might be too fast all the time. But what's the habitual? Yeah.
Right. And what's the conditioned and habitual pattern? It's kind
Mm.
of like, people have the idea that meditation is going to like slow me down and make me a slug and
Yeah, yeah.
unproductive. But you see, that's kind of like or that's what it's supposed to do. Or that's how you're supposed to be in life. No, that would just be the other extreme, as you
Yeah.
you're pointing it out, Kasim. No, it's what's the middle road here?
Yeah.
What's the middle way?
Yeah.
And that means you investigate.
Mm.
You don't beat yourself up for it, but you begin to investigate all the ways you're revved up
Mm.
and how good it feels.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how uncomfortable you are when you're not revved.
Right. When you're not in your normal way of operating. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's where the rubber meets the road, as they say. That's where the friction is, or the turbulence. What our friend Florence Melio Meyer would say,
Yeah.
the disquieting dilemma. There's the disquieting dilemma. Oh, I'm revved up and I don't need to be revved up. Or I'm not so revved up, it doesn't feel so good to me.
Mm.
Well, what's happening in that little space right there?
Yeah.
That's the investigation.
Mm.
It could make a huge difference in one's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
it's not saying one way is better. It's saying you get to choose
Yeah.
based on what's called for.
Yeah.
You ask yourself the question, what's called for? It's speed? Okay. Then speed it is. But if it's not, then, oh, but I'm still rushing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still making this meal as if it's got to be on the table in 5 minutes, but it's in an hour.
Yeah. The impulse is so strong, Saki. Like it even happened today before we connected. I left myself a buffer about an hour and a half, and there was multiple impulses. I just got to do 5 more emails, and I had to keep talking back to my mind. Thank you, mind. No, this can wait. This is my space now. I'm needing this space. But the impulse, like you were saying, the momentum of just do more, 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 more. It's just like I can feel it in me and I can hear it in my mind. It's okay. No, right now. Thank you.
Yeah, it
Just
means we can't really enjoy it where we are much of the time because of that impulse. It means we're
yeah,
always getting onto, or we're scanning for internally for the next thing.
yeah,
Yeah, a funny little example of that is when I'm in Europe, my friends in Europe can easily sit at dinner for 3 hours. And the waitress doesn't come over or the waiter and say, do you want the check?
yeah, yeah. Yes. Is that it for today?
Is that it for today? Can I get you something else?